our last team, Team Liquid. Everyone's got them ranked first. We're going to talk about that and we'll say why we think that's true and what potential storylines we could look at other than them just finishing first. Of course, if you do like any part of this, do consider subscribing to the channel and following me on different social media stuff because I'm trying to become a professional showcaster, and helping me out there does really help me get different gigs and try to make my way to the LCS or whatever my life brings me. So let's get on with the show. Alright, number one team last year, Team Liquid, or at least number one domestically. Speaking of Jensen, they move on from Pobelter and add Jensen to this roster. Again, they moved on from Ole to put Core JJ at support, and they're going to see how
World champion Core JJ.
World champion Core JJ. And they're going to see how he does over here. And a lot of people already sit them at, like, hey, they're going to keep the number one spot and keep going. And especially since, like, you just feel like, yeah, Jensen's an improvement on Pobelter. Cool. We'll just keep going. So is this just it? Is this Team Liquid just keep their crown and just keep going, and then maybe have better international success? But even just like not even barring that, we're just talking about the LCS split. Do they continue being number one?
I think they do. I think it's hard to see this team not be top two. I could see where they lose in the finals or something. I could see where there's a little bit of gelling issues with any team really going into a split, especially when there's meta changes and whatnot. But I think that this is probably one of the best rosters NA has ever seen. And I'll go on record saying I think that this might be a top two roster stats wise, like that NA has ever produced. And it's weird to say, because if you told me, like, because Cloud9 we just talked about had the best performance ever, but on paper it doesn't look like it. Like, it doesn't look like any of these players are the players that would be NA's best roster. But this team does. Like, Xmithy, like, it has a record longer than I could sit here and talk about. Like, he has a resume that's so good that it's like, how could you ever say this guy's not, like, one of the best NA resident players ever? Doublelift speaks for himself in the same manner. Impact, former world champion, and has consistently been top laner in NA since coming here, and is probably one of the best tank players in the world, honestly. Jensen, I mean, I will disagree with you, and I think that he is this, maybe a step below Bjergsen at times, but he's always been in contention of top two mid laner. Like, stats wise, last split, he was top two.
And the funny thing is,
Golden Glue.
I criticize his play, and I'm the guy that drafts Jensen every year in fantasy, even though there's no fantasy coming up. And I probably still would draft Jensen pretty darn high, because statistically he does things well. So, yeah.
So it's like it's hard to see, like, look at the mid lane talent here, and it's just like I see Jensen going at the worst even with some of these players. Like, I don't see him ever being a downside, and I think that it's a huge upgrade over Pobelter. And then Core JJ, like, Ollie, I don't think it's about playing in any way, shape, or form, but I think, like, there was that mismatch in playstyle with Doublelift and Ollie. And I think that Core JJ, who, is a world champion, who is, fairly good at speaking English from my understanding. I think it's going to be a huge, huge upgrade over Ole, because I don't see any other support who I would sit here and be like, who you pick up? Like, aside from the role where you get, like, maybe Aphromoo or Biofrost, I don't see any other player that's, like, I would be as excited as about. Like, this roster is so huge in that they made these big gains over the two players that were the weakest points, and they weren't even weak points. Like, this is the roster that won both splits, and they upgraded on that. And I think that's so huge here, that I'm so excited to see how this roster plays out. And a huge tip that I want to add is that Jensen, after one split, becomes an NA resident. So, not to say that they're going to get rid of Xmithy, because Xmithy is nuts, but there is a world where in a year's time or 6 months' time, we could see Doublelift and 4 imports. Like, not to say that, like, I do think Xmithy is a nuts player, and I don't.
But say they need to improve that they could. That's an option.
And
options are good.
Yeah, and Xmithy is older and maybe wants to retire at some point.
Or becomes
soon.
a coach. Who knows, right? Like, he
exactly
fit into that role. See, the thing, I feel bad for Team Liquid. I shouldn't feel bad for a team I think is going to finish first place. But there's a world in which I'm not intrigued by the Team Liquid storyline until they get to Worlds, right? Because you're like, you could win first place, you could win the summer and the spring split. I'd be like, and everyone is gonna not be impressed. Everyone's gonna be like,
because that's what you're expecting.
Yeah, you just expect that, like TSM of old. It's like you're just expecting this team to be finished first, so it's almost boring, right? If they don't win, you're garbage. If you win, we don't care. So it's like I feel bad for Team Liquid in that sense that there's no winning unless they do well at Worlds or MSI at the very least, right? If they hype up at MSI, then we might be like, okay, sweet.
But that was the same storyline of old TSM.
Yeah.
Like aside from last year, TSM had the same storyline where it was like they've always won or they've always done top 2. They've always made Worlds, and it was like it doesn't matter. You have Bjergsen. We know you're gonna slap NA. Let's see how you do at Worlds. And it's a huge compliment to say we don't care about your domestic performance. The team.
Yeah, this team that obviously the Forever Fourth memes and all that. This team that like couldn't win. And now they're so good at winning that we're like, we don't care that you're winning. Like it's a weird thing that we do that in our brains because we I don't necessarily say like you and me, but I just mean like the community as a whole when watching that. Because like I think people who just watch competitive sports or esports just do that. You just get bored. People get bored of the New England Patriots winning every year. People get bored of LeBron James being the best basketball player in the world. People are just like, we don't care that you're winning. We only like laugh at you if you lose. And like that's about it. So like I feel bad in that sense. But like yeah, but still it's like. You probably improved in your mid lane. We're just waiting for what you do at Worlds, and it's only intriguing if you lose. So it's such a weird thing. But at the same time, though, one other last little point I want to touch on is Doublelift. I think he's got a target on him right now because so many teams are going to try to want that best bot lane. In NA, and I think there's so much competition for it. With Bang added to 100 Thieves there, again, like we go back to Stixxay and Biofrost being the best part of CLG. They might be one of the best bot lanes. So I think even if you're not, yeah, I think even if you're not intrigued by the storyline of will Team Liquid finish first place, I think the most intriguing thing to look at is Doublelift and Core JJ. Again, adding a new support over here, former World Championship. Is this going to be the best bot lane in the league? So that's not. I don't think that's a guarantee. So I think,
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know when I watch a Team Liquid game, I'm not even thinking like, will they win? I'm like, I will think they will win most of their games. They will probably finish 12-6 again or whatever, and like double up their wins. But I'm gonna be very intrigued to see if Doublelift and Core JJ in the 1v, like I really hope they go back to doing a little bit of like bot lane streams. I know they do like the lounge stream now instead, but like I would be super interested just to be watching Doublelift and Core JJ. And seeing how those two kind of do together, because I think that's the most intriguing storyline for them, and that's on top of them, adding Jensen into the mid lane. Because I think he'll be good. Like, there's like no doubt.
I think so too. I very much see the storyline because you have, like you said, Stixxay Biofrost. You have Pele being re-added, who could potentially be hype. You have Sneaky Zazel, the best bot lane NA's ever seen internationally. It's funny to say that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just sounds weird.
It sounds weird
because
you get the sneaky in-lane memes, right? And then yeah, is Sven gonna be better without Mithy with Smoothie there? Like, there's so much that like there's a world in which this team finishes first place, and their bot lane is considered a bottom half bot lane.
Yeah, I have trouble seeing that, but it could happen.
It could happen. I'm not saying it for sure is, but I'm just trying to find. I'm searching for the story, and for each and every one of these teams, I'm searching for the story I want to follow this year, and that's the biggest story to follow, because I don't want to just sit here and wait till Worlds for them, because that's maybe their most other intriguing thing. I want to be interested in what's going on in spring, which is what this entire episode is about. So that's where I'm looking at for Team Liquid there. There you go. There was the last of our teams, Team Liquid. Do you agree with us? Do you agree that they're first place team? Do you agree with even just my point of the whole Doublelift being the most interesting storyline, that bot lane being the most interesting storyline? Or do you think actually the whole is Jensen going to work to be the most interesting storyline? Because in my brain, Jensen is just going to be good, and so it's not even that intriguing to me. It is intriguing. It'll be intriguing when they play Cloud9 specifically, but I could see, as much as I do think Doublelift is probably the best AD carry, there's so many good AD carries in NA right now. It's really interesting to me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As well, you can check out the last video right there. And you can also follow me on the different social media things right there. And subscribe down here. Now, tomorrow, is going to be the last video of this series. It's going to be kind of our summary of what we think and where we're going to place teams. We're not doing a strict 1 through 10, but we're doing a top 2, a playoff teams, and then the rest kind of thing. So it's going to be a bit of a wrap-up tomorrow, and thanks for everyone that's been watching so far. I've really enjoyed putting this together, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. Alright, see you tomorrow. To next time. I was trying to say tomorrow and next time at the same time. I'm not even going to cut that out. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that cut.